Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. Today I want to talk about the endorsement system within Overwatch. When it first came out, most people thought it was a really good idea, myself included. It certainly helped with the toxicity in games. Blizzard even came out and said that it reduced toxicity by a huge amount, both that and the LFG system. But now, seeing as we're like 6 weeks since this system was added in, almost a full season of Overwatch has gone by, so I wanted to look at it now and talk about really the problems that are starting to surface. All those levels of toxicity going down, I think will start coming back up if these three main issues about the system are not changed anytime soon. This is a purely perspective based thing. I have some of the comments that you guys made coming up from a Twitter post later on in the video to find out what you guys think, but I do also want to ask in the comments below, for you guys that are watching, do you like the endorsement system? Do you use it a lot? Do you have a lot of problems with it? Or do you just kind of ignore it and pretend that it isn't there? Let us know in the comments below. I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say. But the first reason why I think the endorsement system is starting to fall behind is that there's no sense behind it. What I mean by that is it's fair enough not knowing how many endorsements you have to get to go up an endorsement level, but there's other mitigating circumstances at stake here. The first reason I want to go over is one that Blizzard can easily fix, and it's about the endorsement system bugs and problems that people are finding, losing endorsement levels, for example, when they're leaving a game that is done. That was recently fixed on a PTR, I believe, but there are a lot of instances of this happening. Here are a few examples. People playing quick play, for example, the game's going poorly for that team, so people leave. There's no real punishment to leave a quick play game, right? But if a certain amount of people leave on your team, you get re-instanced. This person was getting re-instanced into a new game. It couldn't find one, so it kicked him right back to the main menu and cancelled the game, and with that acted as if he had left himself and lowered his endorsement level. Considering he didn't actually do anything wrong, that's pretty poor from Blizzard's part. There was also an example I saw of a group formed through the LFG system, a 6-stack. They all grouped up together, played a game of competitive. The group leader got tilted and rage quit and took the rest of the group with him, because of course you can leave as a group if you're group leader, and this reduced the endorsement level of everybody in that group even though they wanted to stay and play. So again, it's more of a case of dotting I's and crossing T's on Blizzard's part, so the players don't get punished for all of these particular scenarios, to be honest. Not only that, you have a lot of problems on Blizzard's server side, for example, games just kicking people out because the servers are a little bit shaky, or for example, when you join a game and the game crashes. Most of us have had that issue. I had that personally and lost an endorsement level because of it. 50 SR I can understand, but like, it's just that kind of system where people have been punished for problems on Blizzard's end, and that's really frustrating, especially for those that are trying to take the system much more seriously. So there are some of the problems with the endorsement system, being unfair to players when Blizzard are making mistakes with servers, with the just game acting weird. But what about the intentional problems that this game has? Not only that, there's a lot of confusion around people randomly losing endorsement levels, and a good portion that has to do with decay. And not many people know that the endorsement system does decay if you don't get enough endorsements over a certain amount of time. I only found this out recently, but there's another problem. How many endorsements do you have to get to not decay? What's the time frame before it decays? How much does it decay by? I'm all for not knowing how many endorsements I need to get, but when you're taking away those endorsements that some people have worked really hard for to be positive, to try and get endorsements and get that level up, you're just randomly taking it away because, let's say, the end of a competitive season is over, they're playing quick play where nobody's endorsing, for example, and they decay. That's not really fair on the player. At least you know when it comes to decay, how many days that you have left before you decay, how much you decay by. You have enough prior warning and enough information to know exactly what it's going to do to your account. With endorsement, you don't know diddly squat. It's the same when you leave a game in quick play or competitive, you get penalized for it. With SI, you know that you lose 50 SI if you leave a game prematurely. You get locked out the game for a couple of minutes too. You know exactly where you stand with the system and how it works. But with endorsement, there's no idea. There's nothing to base it off and there's no context for it. Therefore, it's just a system that doesn't really play by any rules. So why should you care about a system that doesn't really follow any form of trend? There's no real wonder why people are getting so flippant with endorsements. And not only that, one of the main issues that was highlighted when I asked on Twitter was the inflation of it. Some really good points made by quite a few people. Most people saying it, of course, is a positive thing. Apex Platypus says that people give endorsements to anybody. They regularly encounter games with endorsement level +3 of people who throw. Echo pointed it out too. P. Clark came in with a really good example of this happening, saying that he gets shot calling endorsements for saying absolutely nothing in team voice. And he says whilst the idea is good in principle, it causes a lot of inflation because everybody does it, it starts to lose meaning. Padavana Metabrit also highlighted that people were really nice for about 2 weeks, then once they realized that it meant absolutely nothing, people stopped being nice. There's loads of comments like this. This seems to be the most common problem of people use it liberally, there's no rhyme or reason to how people use it, and because people don't really know how it works, nobody cares about it. It's also kind of counterintuitive when it comes to grouping up and using the LFG system. Ruro highlighted that the issue is with endorsements, it actually discourages grouping. Whether it be grouping with friends or using LFG, playing with any group for more than 2 games severely limits how many times you can be endorsed. This effectively means that you need to choose between grouping or trying to reach a high endorsement level. From what I've seen, it is almost impossible to stay at level 4 unless you solo queue, which is an interesting perspective that I've not seen anybody else sort of mention. It's weird how the two anti-toxicity tools are kind of working against one another right now. But that goes on to the third and final issue that I feel kind of encompasses everything about this. There's no real incentive or reward to endorse or be endorsed yourself, other than little bits of experience, and maybe loot boxes now and again. Now I'm fully aware that if you add more interesting rewards to the system, people are going to exploit it more by endorsing more people and trying to get endorsed themselves, but there's no real reason to take endorsements seriously. It doesn't really affect the game in any stretch, and the only real reward that we know about at this point is extra loot boxes for going up an endorsement level. But I'd like to see at least sprays, cosmetics of some fashion, maybe not skins as that might be a little bit too far, but I don't see why Blizzard won't dedicate to this a little bit more. Granted, they regret adding golden guns into the game for competitive cosmetics and incentive, but they have top 500 sprays for competitive that are animated. Only a few select players can get that in a region, so I don't understand why you can have cosmetics for the best players in competitive, but not the most PMA players that may just play quick play or Lucio Ball. Instead of rewarding people to endorse with experience, which I think is fine, reward the players that are getting endorsed and have an actual high level. As I said, the system can be inflated by the amount that you play, and you can just get endorsed randomly because people want the experience. But I don't think it's really going to hurt Blizzard that much to try and put a bit more of a bigger carrot on this stick of endorsements in an attempt to get people to take the system more seriously. Because that's the issue, it doesn't. It worked to begin with, but once players realise that it doesn't really hold any bearing over any of the games that you get, players are starting to care less about the endorsement system only 6 weeks into it being in the game. The LFG system is always going to be useful for players that want to use it. Obviously its popularity is going to drop, but the endorsement system people are expected to really fix the game, and less than 2 months into it, players are already starting to go, yeah, this needs more work. And that's the most frustrating aspect of it. It's a system that can be really good and can do amazingly well for Overwatch, but it just needs a little bit more time, love and appreciation added into it, and having a bit more of a solid system that makes sense, that players know where they stand with how the system works. I think that could be really beneficial to the game in terms of toxicity, having another thing to play for, and as I said, it does require another carrot on a stick, a bigger, much more shiny carrot on a stick to incentivize players to take it just a little bit more seriously. That's what I'd love to see. Blizzard are very close with this system, but they just need to put an extra bit more effort into making sure it works. Let us know if you agree or disagree with any of that in the comments below. Thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you next time.